Hey guys, what is up? Today we are picking the Rose Bowl. That's right. College football playoffs. Alabama, Michigan. It does not get much better than this. So, without further ado, we're just going to hop straight into this. Alright, let's start breaking down the teams. We got Michigan. Michigan is 13-0. They won the Big Ten East by defeating Iowa by a score of 26-0. Their key wins are Iowa, Ohio State, who they beat 30-24, Penn State, who they beat 24-15, and Maryland, who they beat 31-24. So at quarterback, they have J.J. McCarthy, who threw for 2,600 yards and 19 touchdowns with only a couple of picks. He was solid in the year, but kind of fell off later as he threw for as he did not throw for over 200 yards in his last 4 contests, and that is kind of where the running backs picked up the slack there. But he can run and he can throw it, so do not doubt his ability there. Michigan is very solid at quarterback. A running back, they have what I think is the best duo in the country with Blake Corum, who had 1,000 yards and 24 touchdowns. Is just ridiculous, as he's carried the ball for over 20 times in all of Michigan's last 3 regular season games. And behind him, I have Donovan Edwards, who's also been very solid, as he ran for 382 yards and 3 touchdowns of his own, but has taken double-digit carries in, once again, Michigan's 3 last regular season games. At receiver, they're nothing fancy. They have Roman Wilson, who's leading them receiving with about 600 yards. And then second is their tight end, who has 500, so they really spread the ball around. There's no one guy. At offensive line, they're good. Offensive line is very solid. McCarthy's only taken 18 sacks all year, but I believe that he's took 10 sacks in his last 5 games. So the sack numbers have started climbing, but the offensive line is still very good. On defense, they're only allowing 9.5 points a game this year. They were really able to shut down Penn State. That's how they won that game. They completely shut down Iowa, but that's not the hardest. And they held Maryland and Ohio State to 24 points. Their DBs are ball hawks, who have been burned before, but they're still very solid. Their front 7 is one of the best in the country, as they know how to get after the quarterback and they know how to stop the run. Special teams is nothing fancy. Jim Harbaugh and his staff have really built a good team here, but nobody is addressing this elephant in the room, and I am going to for you. What about the sign stealing scam? They have been stealing signs. So how good is this team without that knowledge? I don't know. We're probably about to figure it out now. Well, Alabama is not an easy team to be predicted. And so more on that right now. The Crimson Tide went 12-1, won the SEC West and the SEC Championship, defeating with their key victories being against LSU, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their closest game was an escape against Auburn. It might not say it was the closest by the score, but it was Alabama needed a miracle to keep themselves in contention right there. So they beat Georgia 27-24, LSU 42-28, and Tennessee 34-20. Oh yeah, they also beat Ole Miss 24-10. They lost to Texas early in the season. After that game, Alabama turned things around as they finished the season on a rampage, winning uh, their last 11 games, winning 11 straight games. We'll start with the quarterback position. Jalen Milroe started the season very, very shaky. Against Texas, threw a couple of interceptions and was benched after that loss in a game against South Florida, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but it was ugly. After that, the Tide has started Milroe, and he has been on a rampage, not just as a passer, but as a runner. Milroe finished the season with 2,718 yards and 23 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. Running the ball, he has 468 yards and 12 touchdowns, including a 4-touchdown game on the ground against LSU, and then another 3-touchdown game on the ground against Kentucky. So the later in the season he's gone, the better he's looked. Milroe has caught fire late, finishing 6th in the Heisman voting. At running back, the Tide has Jase McClellan, who has 803 yards and 6 touchdowns. Roydell Williams, who has 561 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Jamarian Miller, who has 190 yards and 1 touchdown, plus several more talented guys behind him. McClellan missed the SEC championship game in which the Tide's running game was not the best, but it was still good enough to get the job done. But their running backs are still very solid, as they usually are under Saban. Next, talk about the receiver position. Headed into the season, Alabama was expected to have some really good receivers. They finished with Jermaine Burton, who had 777 yards and 8 touchdowns. Isaiah Bond, who had 621 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Kobe Prentice, who had 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their receiving room played very solid this year, as tight end Amari Knobloch also had 321 yards, and C.J. Dupree, another tight end, had 172. Isaiah Bond made the clutch 4th and 31 catch against Auburn to seal the game. It was a huge play. The Alabama receiving room has also gotten better. They weren't creating separation early in the season, and now just the entire Alabama team has been on a tear. They are the most improved team in the country, without question. The offensive line is one of the most improved units in the country, as they started the season giving up a lot of sacks. But they have gotten better and better, and in their last 5 games allowed 8 sacks to Michigan's 10, including giving up no sacks in a 49-21 win against Kentucky. They have freshman left tackle Caden Proctor and and a preseason All-American right tackle in J.C. Latham. And so the offensive unit is very solid. Defense has really been the Tide's strong point for most of the season. On the defensive line, maybe not the most talented defensive unit, but they still have Tim Keenan and Justin Aboigbe, who have made a solid contribution, both with Aboigbe having 7 sacks and 59 tackles. So he's played very well. There's also, and as I said, Tim Keenan, Jamarian Latham. Keenan only has 1 sack and 36 tackles, but he has been a force in the run-stopping game, while Aboigbe's done a lot of pass rushing. Linebackers are really what this Alabama defense is probably best known for, with Chris Bradwell, Jihad Campbell, and Dallas Turner. Braswell has 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 interception. Oh yeah, almost forgot Deontay Lawson, who has 3 sacks on the season. And Dallas Turner is the star of the linebacker show. He has had 9 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. At defensive back, the Tide has 3, count them, 3 at least first round picks at the defensive back room. Caleb Downs had almost 100 tackles as a freshman. Terrion Arnold, who really nobody was talking about preseason, who had an All-American level year. And Kool-Aid McKinstry, who people already expected to be good, who played good like he was supposed to. They also have Malachi Moore, who played well. They had Key, who stepped up late in the season, and who just played solid the whole season, actually. And they had Trey Amos, who came in after somebody. I can't remember who went down, but he was locking up Brock Bowers against Georgia. He played very well. The stats don't show it, but he played incredibly well. Just doing his job. Alabama's DBs were able to shut down Brock Bowers for most of the game. Alabama's linebackers and defensive line were able to stop Georgia's run game. And that is what I see as a strength of this team. Kicking, they have Will Reichard, who is the FBS's all-time scoring leader. In coaching, they have Nick Saban, who everybody already knows how good he is, and Tommy Rees, who kind of didn't have a great start to the season, but he has been just getting better, just like the rest of this Alabama team. All right, so that's my breakdown for Alabama. All right, so this is my big overall comparison. We have Michigan and Alabama. Michigan is more experienced. I give them the position edges at running back, defensive line, and I think they have about an equal offensive line. And for Alabama, I give them the advantage at overall athleticism. Alabama has the better athletes. Michigan has the more experienced and veteran team. Alabama, I give them quarterback. I give them receiver. I give Michigan offensive. I give Michigan tight end. I give Alabama linebacker. And I give Alabama defensive back, kicker, punter, and coaching staff. So, once again, it's the veterans versus the athletes. But you have the coaching side of this. Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban. I'm going Nick Saban every time. He's the GOAT. He's won more national championships than anybody else. There's a reason for that. I like Alabama in most of these matchups here. I think Alabama's front seven can do a good job containing Corum and McCarthy for most of the game, and the DBs can lock up Roman Wilson pretty well. And Michigan's defense is definitely going to give Alabama some problems. I see a low-scoring game for sure. The point line has Michigan favored by 2, I think, and I just don't see that happening. So here's what I see happening. With about 5 minutes left in the half, Alabama gets the ball. The game's tied. Milroe drives the team down the field, and they score a touchdown with about 30 seconds left in the half. It goes to half, and in the second half, the game's pretty even. Bama kicks a late field goal in the fourth quarter and finishes the game winning by 10 points, 24-14. I think the Alabama defense holds McCarthy under 200 passing yards. They hold Corum to under 120 yards, And now I also think Michigan is able to contain Miller for most of the game, but he gets just every now and then in the game, he's got like one or two drives where he's just going to take over, drive Bama down the field, and get what he needs to. I just think Alabama is the better team and should win this game. Now, here are my keys to what needs to happen for Alabama to win. Stop Corum. If you stop the running game, you stop Michigan. That's the way I feel about them. You got to limit McCarthy scrambling and keep him on the run passing. Alabama has to apply pressure against Michigan. They did this perfectly against Georgia, as they only rushed 5 like one time, but they kept pressure on Beck the whole game. If Alabama does this, Alabama does those 3 things, they easily beat Michigan. Now, for Michigan to beat Alabama, what they have to do on defense is they obviously have to contain Jalen Milroe. There's no way around winning if you don't stop Jalen Milroe. Completely take away the run game and make sure Milroe can't hit his deep ball. If you do that, you've shut him down. Now, what these teams need to do to win on offense is Alabama needs to let Milroe just be able to do his thing. Let Milroe make plays. If Milroe makes some plays, Bama wins this game. They need to have a 2-dimensional offense. They need to be able to do everything. They need to be able to go a 3-dimensional offense. They need to let Milroe be able to run, McClellan be able to run, and they need Milroe to be able to pass. And for both teams to win, they have to dominate the line of scrimmage. Whoever dominates the line of scrimmage in any given game wins. If you don't win the line of scrimmage, you're probably not going to win the game. It's just how this works. I think Alabama is ultimately able to just out-body Michigan. Due to the competition they played, Alabama's played the more physical teams. They just manhandled a physical Georgia team who just obliterated Florida State. They manhandled them up front the entire game. Michigan has been good up front all year. They have not played a front like Alabama. The closest they've come is probably Ohio State, who's, make no mistake, is very good up front, but they are not as good as Alabama is. I think Bama controls the line of scrimmage throughout the game, and they're able to hold Corum to under 4 yards a carry, and Milroe's able to make just enough plays to get Alabama that win. So that's what I think about the Rose Bowl. Agree, disagree, put down in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you would smash that subscribe button and like the video. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good 2024 and peace.